Good morning this morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your location. Stand up for what is right. Today I'm going to bring to you the story behind the Roman charity statue. The Roman charity statue is one of the most expensive statues ever made by human artists on planet Earth. Now, the story behind the Roman charity statue revolves around Cimon and Pero, a father and a daughter. When a daughter had to breastfeed her starved father. The introduction. Many wall paintings, pottery, and ceramic statues from the 1st century were excavated in Pompeii. One of them is a visual representation of Pero and her father Cimon. In Romance, there is a mythological story behind the above painting, which is also popularly called Roman charity. The above painting may give you negative vibes, but it is not what you see. It may appear to have, but it is not adult image. However, there are versions of adult image for adult films painting made by individual artists, but this is not something related to that. There are also something beyond just painting on this Roman statue. There are true emotions with helplessness. The truth and the true story behind the painting will definitely move you emotionally. The story in detail. Cimon was caught stealing bread and was sentenced to death by starvation. He was imprisoned in a reformatory by the Romans in Ghent, Belgium. He wasn't allowed to see anyone. Pero wanted to meet him, but was always refused by the prison official. Pero kept pleading and requesting, and finally she was allowed to meet her father. Thus, she was only the person allowed to see him, and with the condition no permission of taking any food or water. Pero at that moment was a mother of an infant. All she wanted to save was her father's life, and to do this, she breastfed him daily with her breast milk. Weeks passed and Cimon was still alive. The prison authorities were suspicious and surprised that Cimon was alive even after such a long time of incarceration. Authorities started to monitor her data. One day when she came to visit Pero, prison officials hid outside her father's dungeon. When she was breastfeeding her father, she was caught by the prison's officials. The punishment for such an infringement of order was based on the type of flogging, and in her case, it meant that she would be given the same punishment as that of her father. Pero was then brought up before the administrator for her violation. After hearing that her father and her child was sharing her breast milk, and all she did was to sustain her old father's life, the officials were touched emotionally. The order of release of Pero and her father was released immediately. Now let us look at some versions of that same story by some painters as depicted. Italian oil painting of the same theme came into existence during the early 1520s. The painting was of the then recently died Pietro Luna, which was on a huge canvas that said, "A woman who nurses an old man." Another similar version of the painting was found during the year 1538, which was identified as daughter nursing her father. Unfortunately, many of those paintings are no longer in existence, but that of Roman charity remains till this moment and represent a whole lot. During the 1600s, A Baroque artist named Caravaggio displayed this scene in his abstract and named it the Seven Works of Mercy. Following Caravaggio's altarpiece, the absolute craze for painting of Pero and Cimon started. It spreads everywhere through Italy, France, Netherlands, Spain, and many more cities. Caravaggio's altarpiece remained an inspiration for the next 2 centuries. Painter Peter Paul Rubens made 3 versions of the same story and painted them, but there was something about the original painting, something incestuous. He introduced a sleeping infant, which the original painter didn't mention. This painting was introduced in the 17th century to avoid many kinds of relevance or misinterpretation. At the same time, the painter wanted to use it as a metaphor for the 3 generations, so he incorporated the infant child, which added a new meaning to the painting. The moral on this story is very, very important. You know already. Pero not only proved her true devotion towards her father, but also proved her unconditional love for her dear father. How many of us love our father to that extent? To the extent of offering our breast milk to save her life in dungeon. We know a proverb that says that blood is thicker than water. Pero proved it. Not everyone, indeed, has the same undying love for their parents. Not all. It is not about having the same circumstances as she had. It is about having the same feeling she possessed for her father. One thing an elderly parent desires truly is love from their children. Do you love your parents? And if yes, how much? Thank you and God bless you for listening. Stand up for what is right. One love.